I need a drink to relive this weekend. How's it going, y'all? Muda here. Um, yeah, so I had a crazy weekend. I had a crazy NAIC weekend. I had a crazy week leading up to NAIC. I practically wrote a novel of notes, and I just kind of wanted to go over my trip, how I performed, everything leading up to it. I'm reminiscing on Bourbon Street now, drinking something, screwdriver. I had quite a few of those over that weekend, but yeah. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So a lot happened actually in the beginning of the trip. So the Saturday before I left, I flew in Wednesday, but the Saturday before I left, um, I actually was had a fever and I was getting the shakes, and I actually had I actually, I guess maybe TMI, but I deal with cellulitis flare ups quite a bit, and I had a cellulitis flare up. Ended up in the hospital with some IV antibiotics for a couple days. 2 days I was in observation, but I actually got out Monday afternoon. So my flight was Wednesday afternoon. So I had basically like a day. Really, I had a little over like 2 days technically to have everything ready. So Tuesday I pretty much had to spend as much time as I could packing, just getting everything ready. I even got a haircut beforehand because I was supposed to get a haircut Saturday. Everything I was gonna do, everything I had to do Tuesday, I was gonna do Saturday. Um, but yeah, so I was in the hospital. My white blood count was crazy, but I got out. So I was released on antibiotics. So I'm kind of like operating at like 50% free, 50% right now. I'm not being able to walk as well as I could, but yeah, we got there. I was able, that Wednesday, my girlfriend drove me to the metro station. I got on the station, got to Reagan Airport outside DC, and I got on my flight, and it was a hassle to get on the flight. Straight up, they said I hadn't checked in, so even though I had checked in, I had my seat number and everything, QR code. I had everything on my phone. But there was some issue. Basically, I was the last person to board. I had to be a total Karen about it because they tried to put me on the next flight. And I'm like, no, I literally have a seat on this flight. I have a checked bag on this flight. So I pretty much had to be a Karen, but we got on board. I was the last person on board. I didn't even think my checked bag was gonna get there because they made me check my actual carry-on bag. So yeah, that happened. I didn't think that was gonna make it. I was at everything with air tags. So I was like checking my air tags like throughout the flight. So the flight took off kind of okay. It was delayed a little bit, but it took off all right. And then for some reason they're like, okay, there's a storm in New Orleans, so we have to land in Mississippi. So the flight actually landed in Mississippi, and yes, that's the first time ever I've had a flight divert and refuel at another airport. So technically, I've been to Mississippi now, so that's something. But yeah. So an hour later, we're back in the air, and so at this point, we got there. It was like 30. It was like less than 30 minutes in the air at that point. But we got to New Orleans. We land. I get to the baggage claim. It's taking forever. It's taking forever. It's taking forever. Turns out they sent my bag to the wrong baggage claim. So they gave everyone baggage claim 4, but then I look over and saw it sitting over at baggage claim 5. So I'm glad I was observant, otherwise I would have been there a lot longer. But it worked out pretty good. My one friend, actually, I thought I was going to beat his flight, but his flight beat mine. So he got his bag right around the time I got mine. And then, yeah, right. And then that day we were actually able to pick up our badges at they had a Pokemon Center badge pickup right at the airport. So that was really cool. And so we picked that up. We got our badges. And then we got an Uber for the Airbnb. It was like a 30-minute ride. The Uber was quite a while away from our Airbnb was quite a bit away from the airport, but our Airbnb was pretty close to everything else. So the Ubers were pretty cheap in between just about everything else. So yeah, we got to the Airbnb. So actually, what happened was the Airbnb was the AC went out of the Airbnb, so our host actually gave us an alternate location. They never did get us in the main location, so I think we're actually kind of in a dispute with them right now about that because two of the like we were promised like two extra beds, and we asked for extra sheets and towels and stuff since we were in like a suboptimal location, and they ghosted us the entire weekend except when we asked for a later checkout, and they're like, nah. So, yeah, pretty crappy owners. I think we're gonna dispute that a bit. But okay, so going into like Wednesday night, everyone, it was like half the Airbnb had shown up at this point. So Wednesday night, we just kind of were playing tourists. We went to Cafe Du Monde. We got beignets. I'd never had beignet before, so that was pretty cool. Then we ended up hitting up a restaurant called Napoleon. It was pretty good. But I was pretty full at the beignets, so like I ended up getting my food mostly to go. I only ate a little bit of it there. But we ended up going to like a speakeasy after that had like these crazy strong cocktails, and that was pretty cool. It was very quiet. Had like a secret bookshelf passage. That was kind of cool. So yeah, so on to Thursday. Thursday was pretty chill. We got up, we got to the center. We went ahead and picked up our welcome kits, and we went ahead and checked out the vendors. We weren't able to go in the main hall. The main hall was actually closed off. And the only other thing you could kind of do other than vendors was check out the Pokemon Center if you had a time slot. I didn't get a time slot till 10 a.m. Saturday, so I wasn't going to be able to get in that Thursday. I only knew like one person that got in Thursday. But so yeah, we kind of just did that. So Thursday, we ended up going to Cafe Du Monde again. Um, and we kind of like walked around. We ended up after that. We ended up going to a Louisiana Popeyes. So we finally hit up a New Orleans Popeyes. So that was pretty cool. Took forever for the food, but it was pretty fire. I ain't gonna lie. It hit different. It hit different than your normal Popeyes. They also have like that Cajun seasoning that you don't get at other Popeyes. That's pretty good too. It kind of changes the flavor of things. But so yeah, so it was kind of a chill night. At that point, most of my group was going back to the Airbnb, but I decided, well, I want to see what Bourbon Street's all about because I didn't see it the night before, and I'm here second night and I hadn't seen Bourbon Street yet. So I walked over to Bourbon Street. I didn't do too much, but I saw a place that said they make hand grenades, so I walked in. I got a hand grenade, and then yeah, I walked down the street, and I didn't realize this. I knew like you could walk on Bourbon Street, but I thought it was similar to Beale Street, like in Memphis. So so I asked a dude, I'm like, so I can just walk on the street, and he's like, yeah. So I didn't know how far I could actually walk with this drink. So I asked another lady who like a security guard at a place, said, hey, like, how does this work? She's like, oh, it's the entire county. It's not just Bourbon Street. And I'm like, oh my God. So, like, it's just open container anywhere. The only thing is you can't have glass. So, you can't have, like, a glass bottle or glass cup or whatever. But you can have, like, plastic, aluminum, whatever. So, so I ended up getting a hand grenade. And that stuff is extremely strong. I was not ready for how strong that drink was. Oh my God. I got it iced, but then I think I actually liked it better on the rocks because I got it on the rocks the next night. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But so yeah, so Thursday was pretty cool. I went on Bourbon Street. I actually did get to meet some people. I got to meet Sid and her boyfriend Anthony and a bunch of other people. Bella, like a bunch of people downtown. It was like not ton of Pokemon people, but it was a few. I mean, it was the day before day one, so people were definitely, I think, trying to get their sleep. Um, so yeah, so I went home. Friday, day one. I woke up pretty early. I got to the venue. Found my seat. Got it there. Met my opponent. We chilled for a bit. We watched the opening ceremony. There was about a 15-minute opening ceremony, and then the round began. So the guy actually beside me had a no-show. Lucky him. Should have been me. But about 3 minutes into round one. Mind you, I was playing against a Joltik box person. I actually ran Dragapult. I had 3 games of online testing before NAIC, 0 games of over the table testing for Dragapult, and I threw it together right before my flight. Um, I was blessed just to be at NAIC due to the circumstances of my health. So at that point, I wasn't expecting a crazy good run, considering I had already gotten 224 points this season, gotten my ace trainer status. The only way I could have made it to Worlds guaranteed was to get top 4. So I wasn't really trying for too much. I had hit most of what I wanted to this season. I was pretty content with how I performed. So with that context, going in, I made a blunder pretty quick. I went to retreat a Gimmighoul with 1 energy attached. Mind you, I had Switch in hand. I went to retreat, put Gholdengo into the active. I Cypher Maniac'd. I picked my top 2 cards. I coin bonus for those 2 cards. One of those 2 cards being an Energy Search Pro. I went to Energy Search Pro, and then he realized, hey, how do you retreat with 1 energy? And I'm like, oh crap, I forgot he had 2 instead of 1. So a judge got called over, which it kind of sucked because I already showed him the switch, but the judge literally had already walked over. And at that point, even though the opponent wanted to let me reverse it, he couldn't because the judge couldn't guarantee I got that switch off of, which would be kind of irrelevant because I'd already retreated. So the switch was in hand. It was just my dumb fault for not playing it because I wasn't under item lock. Yeah, I went to like do a retreat maneuver because I thought it would be a more optimal maneuver, but I couldn't actually do it. So unfortunately, it was it was a double prize penalty. It was an extra card of information given to me, so a card had to be randomly shuffled from my hand, revealed, and shuffled back into my deck. So the judge did this. He revealed the Energy Search Pro. So just F my life. The 1 card I needed because I really need to attach for turn there, and I wasn't able to attach for turn there. I would have had the knockout. So if there was no double prize penalty, if I had played switch there, I would have won game 1 easy. But I lost game 1. I lost game 1 because the double prize penalty literally cost me the game. I won game 2 though, so we went to game 3 with very little time, but we tied. Even with like a 12-minute time extension, I think, or something like that, we tied, and so I should have won that set, but I also could have very easily lost that set because of the double prize penalty. So I was grateful for a tie. So can't complain there. Going into round 2, I actually played a player from Mexico, so that was kind of cool. I haven't played an international person in a long time, so that was really cool. And I actually won game 1 really quick. He was playing Raging Bolt. And I lost game 2 though. Kind of sucks, but he barely got there. I mean, it was so close. And I mean, we started game 3 with probably like 10 minutes left. There was not much, but it went to turns, and I was pretty advantageous. I was very advantageous, but it did end up being a tie because I think when it got to turns, I said neither of us are going to take 4 prize cards in like these 2 turns. Based on like it was like, I think we were at turn 1 and we both figured like neither of us are gonna get the win, so we agreed to a tie at that point. But he was really cool. My opponent was cool, and he's like, "Did I slow play? Like, was I taking too long?" I'm like, "No." I said I probably was taking a little too long too because I didn't have as much practice with Dragapult as I wanted. So I don't think I was playing as fast as I could have been either. But going to round 3, this one was pretty lackluster. First game, I prized Energy Search Pro. It was my last prize card. Oh no, I'm sorry. Game 1, it was Joltik Box against. He actually just took it pretty quick. He just got set up. I wasn't able to evolve him fast enough. He would just take 2 prize, and like that was pretty much it for me. Like he just literally iron hands around all my 2 prizers or my actual EXs. But game 2, I actually I did win, but game 3, my Energy Search Pro was prized, and it was my last prize card. Like I was down to my last prize card, so it was such a close set. I really was upset about losing that one. At this point, I was 0-1-2, so it's like okay, I'm in such an awkward point at this point. So I'm pretty much mentally checked out at this point, for the for future reference. So round 4, I hit Dragapult Dusknoir. They pretty early on they said we pretty much both have to win out to get points. So they offered a gentleman's agreement on board state, or prizes. And I said, well, let's go on prizes. And I normally don't do gentlemen's agreements, but at this point, it's like the likelihood that I was even going to walk away with points at this point was so slim. I was just like, yeah, sure, whatever you want, sure. Points. All right, I said prizes. We'll go off prizes. And so game one, I pretty much was brick, just straight up brick. Game two was so close, but they just got there with balls. Like I pretty much played out the best I could, disrupted them as much as I could, but at the end of the day, they just had it in hand. So like there's not much I could really do. At that point, I just kind of quietly went back to the Airbnb. I went to the Airbnb, and I just kind of it definitely hit me a little bit. Like, I mean, I was upset at myself. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it took me like an hour or so to just like go off tilt and kind of calm down. Like, I was mad at myself for not practicing more, but I was just, I guess, mad at like all the circumstances that kind of were hurdles of me getting to practice. So, all in all, I think I should have just picked a different deck. I think Dingo was the third time in a row I ran it at a major, and I've just had worse results every time I've ran it at a major. Even though, weirdly enough, I take it to a cup and do well. So at that point, I just kind of was mentally checked out. I just went to the Airbnb. I kind of like laid down. I napped as much as I could, and I just kind of waited on a group to kind of come back from the Airbnb. My one friend, she ran a Hydrapple deck and missed day two by one. She lost her winning in. Poor girl was devastated. A lot of us were kind of down because none of us had great runs that day, so it was all just kind of like eh. So at that point, we were kind of gonna go on Bourbon Street, but a lot of us just kind of wanted to stay in. And since we ended up with a Airbnb with a pool, which we weren't planning on, we decided to utilize the pool. And it was a small pool; it was only like 5 feet deep. But I hadn't swam in a long time. But after drinking a bit, we had some Henny and vodka going on because we had a corner store around the street that had liquor, so we ended up getting booze, and we ended up just playing some music, had a nice time in the pool. It was just kind of a nice time to wind down, nothing too crazy, but I think it was definitely what we all needed. It was kind of refreshing. It kind of cleared our conscience. It's kind of a good way to sort of let the season end. And no matter how we did, we were it was just straight camaraderie. It was just friendship. So it was really nice. So Saturday I had to wake up pretty early though because I had a 10 a.m. Pokemon Center slot. So two of the three people that were gonna go with me the night before when we were like partying up were like, yeah, let's go, let's go. Oh, the one dude, he was out. Like I tried waking him up, he was not responding. So he messaged me like at like 9:45, but we had already left. I'm like, if you can get an Uber here, the slot's yours. But he wasn't able to, so the slot actually went to waste. So um, my friend Cody and Dorian came with me. We went to the Pokemon Center. It was really cool. It was just like absolutely like sensory overload. I really wish I spent more time there, but it was just so much to see and just like I think the last time I'd been in an official Pokemon Center was 2019 Worlds technically, but I didn't buy much then. I think I only bought like a playmat. To be honest, I bought very little back then. Um, and then I think in 2014 I went to the Pokemon Center as well, which that was a tiny pop up at Worlds. But other than that, I hadn't been to a Pokemon Center, so that was like just really cool. I ended up spending $700 at the Pokemon Center, though it wasn't all for me. There was a good bit I was getting for some friends who weren't able to make it. Some people were wanting deck boxes and dice sets and play mats and hats, and so I was getting stuff not just for me but for others too. So it wasn't all for me. Though I did actually get the Destined Rival ETB raffle, which was pretty cool because I've never actually gotten a Pokemon Center ETB before. So I actually got that one, the Stellar Crown one, and the Surging Sparks one. So I've never gotten a drop on an online drop for any of those. That was really cool. But yeah, so after that, we pretty much went back and dropped off our stuff, and I just kind of chilled at the Airbnb. I rested most of the day. Like I didn't really do much at all that Saturday. It was just pretty low energy until that evening when we were getting ready to go to Bourbon Street. And that's where things go crazy. So this is like the third time my group wanted to go to Cafe Du Monde. Though there were a couple people in the group that didn't get to go the first couple times, so that's fair. Um, but I'll be honest, I could not do another night of beignet and coffee and stuff before going out drinking. Like I was getting antsy. I was hyped. I wanted to get wasted straight up. So I skipped that and went straight for Bourbon Street. Um, it basically walked into like the first place. I looked up, saw a hurricane. I'm like, yeah, give me that. So I ended up with a hurricane. I sucked that down so fast. I mean, it was gone. Like so within like a block or two, it was gone. So I ended up going to another place and be like, hey, let me get a hurricane. So I ended up getting a second hurricane. Um, and then not long after I got my second drink, I ended up running into my friend group that went to Cafe Du Monde. So they weren't there that long, but they did. We met up with them, and so we went to a couple bars with them, and I ended up meeting Dan Squared and his girlfriend Livy. That was really cool. Finally got to meet them IRL, and just we slowly got to meet a lot of people in Pokemon. Maybe that I hadn't seen in a long time or hadn't met personally in person. So that was pretty cool. But we were moving around so much. Like I think our group was just trying to meet up with everyone else so much. But at the same time, I had other people that were like, "Hey, we've never met before. I'm trying to meet up with you." So I kind of dipped from my group at that point, and I kind of slipped away, and I went to a place called Tropical Isle, which is the creator of the hand grenade. That's not where I went the first night to get a hand grenade, or the first night I went down there, but that is where I guess the original hand grenade was made. So I went there and I actually ran into my awesome friend Maddie. I knew from Twitter, but I'd never met her IRL. So we met and she bought me a hand grenade, which I just was not ready for. But so I drank the hand grenade. I babied it pretty much because I knew that was gonna get me very wasted. But yeah, so we ended up drinking that, and we stepped outside of the tropical isle, and at that point, I realized like it was just sort of this swarm of Pokemon players. It was just tons of them. Like I'd say at least 100 Pokemon players were definitely down on Bourbon Street that night, if not more. I didn't even know them all. Like there was people, but there were so many people like, oh, I recognize this person from Twitter. I recognize this person from Twitter. It was just really, really cool, and people were coming up to me. Like people came up to me like, "Oh my God, are you Muda? Oh, I love your tweets." And like, "Oh, you're the I've seen your tweets from your tweets, and you're so funny, and oh, your posts are so amazing." And like that, like if any of y'all did that, just know that meant the world to me. Like that blew my mind. Like to me, I'm a nobody, but people came up to me and recognized me, um, and that meant the world. Maybe I'm not the best player, but sometimes I'm the funny guy, and if I'm recognized in Pokemon, that's pretty cool. Um, so yeah, as the night went on, I think I ended up going. We ended up going to another place, the Swarm or the Swamp. We ended up going there, and then I think we ended up going back out into. I know at some point, me and a couple other friends ended up getting pizza. We ended up getting like a slice of pizza, and then went back out drinking. Um, but we ended up, I think, back at the Tropical Isle. Ended up buying another hand grenade for like me and two other people. So I ended up on a second hand grenade, and so like as the night went on, people were starting to kind of dip off at this point. But I actually met the super famous Victoria, the VGC Empress. On I'd recognized her on Twitter. I'm like, oh, hi, I like recognize you on Twitter, and apparently she had seen some of my posts, which was kind of crazy. But so at that point, I think most of my friend group was gone except for me and my friend Dom, and we ended up drunkenly stumbling. Following Vic and one of her friends to this like dance club, and we ended up vibing and danced there, and then somehow I made it back to the Airbnb with Dom. I guess he made sure I got home safe because I don't remember really getting home at that point. Yeah, so Sunday I got up a little hungover, but um, I finally got it back to the venue since Friday. So the first time I got back to the venue since, or technically I went Saturday, but I didn't go in the main hall Saturday. I only went to the Pokemon Center, and I didn't check out any vendors. So I finally like spent most of Sunday kind of checking out the vendors again, hanging out with some friends that I hadn't gotten to meet yet that was around the venue, and just kind of walking around, hanging out with people. I actually got interviewed for a YouTube short TikTok series, so I'll make sure to post that on Twitter once that gets released. I'm looking forward to seeing that. But that was really cool. The first time I ever got interviewed. But he made it feel really cool. Dan Squared, shout out to him. But yeah, so we pretty much hung around the venue, and I watched the finals play out for TCG a little bit, but it was a Guardy mirror, and you know how I hate Guardy, so I didn't, like I think I pretty much was just kind of mentally checked out at that point. But I did end up checking out the VGC finals, and my friends actually had a third row locked down in the VGC final. So I actually got to sit with them. That was really cool, and so I didn't know they were that close. That was actually really hype, and they actually were honeypotting people in the front with packs, and they were giving people packs just to sit in the front row. I think to make it, because it ran so late. Like at this point, it's like 6 o'clock, and they're like just past the master finals of VG, and they're going into juniors and seniors, and like people were leaving. They were trying to keep people in the seats because I think they were trying to make it look full for Twitch. But we kind of played up a little bit. We were kind of playing up a little bit because the cameras kept pointing at us. So there's actually like a funny picture of me where like some people were like clapping and stuff, but I guess like it was just a moment of tiredness where I'm looking at the camera and I just looked like really annoyed. To be fair, the concessions closed kind of early for the day, and I wasn't able to get like coffee or soda or anything, so I was kind of like lacking caffeine at that point, just kind of waiting for it to be over so I could get some like caffeine and like hit Bourbon Street again. So afterward, it started pouring down rain. I mean, it was crazy pouring down rain. Um, and they didn't announce the regional date, so we were all disappointed. And it was just raining, so they were trying to like push us out of the convention center, but it was pouring down rain so much they kind of like eased up on us because like it was like torrential pour down. So we actually waited for it to slow down just a little bit to enough where we call an Uber. We got back to the Airbnb. I freshened up a bit and was preparing to head back. They thought I was crazy to go back out again the night before we left, but I said, there's a few bars I didn't get to check out yet, so I'm gonna go down. Everyone in the group stayed except for my friend Esper, who went back down. He was already back down there on his own, actually. Um, so Bourbon Street that Sunday was pretty non-existent, but I was determined to enjoy myself. So there was one place I wanted to go, kind of as a meme, but it seemed interesting. It was a place called Fetish. It was a fetish themed bar, and I went in there. There was like two people in there, and they didn't talk to me at all. They were just kind of standoffish. But I had a cool mixed drink. The bartender kind of gave me, I don't know, basically I asked for like whatever one of their signature drinks was, but it had Red Bull. I'm just like, can you do it without Red Bull? Because I just don't want the caffeine. Like I just didn't want a whole like can of Red Bull right before I started the day. But he mixed it up pretty good, and I just kind of walked around. They had like 3 stories or something like that. But it was a cool little bar. He said he should have been there the night before, and he showed me some pictures, and it looked like a wild time the night before. So I told him, said, look, most likely Pokemon's going to be back at NAIC again here at New Orleans again. I'll be back in a year. I'll come on a Saturday and check it out because it sounded like a pretty cool bar. I ain't gonna lie. But they even had like a cage, like a full cage with lever that somebody could go into. Unfortunately, nobody was there with me to put me in the cage. But maybe next year, maybe I'll be a subscriber reward. You can put me in the cage. But so after that, I kind of just like kind of put down, because actually they gave me like a cocktail drink, so I couldn't just walk out with it. So I finished that and then I left. But I ended up going to one of the Voodoo Chicken places, which you see a lot of down there, and I ended up getting this huge daiquiri, like blue daiquiri drink, and I got through about half of it, and I was just shit faced at that point, pretty much. And then I actually was kind of winding down, like I was kind of thinking about leaving soon, but I ended up running into my friend Esper, who I said, "Hey, didn't you say you were leaving soon too?" Because I thought, well, we can leave together or something. He's like, "Well, yeah, but I got distracted by strippers." So I'm like, well, my ears perked up once I heard that, because I was very drunk and making poor financial decisions all weekend. So I figured, what's a few more? So I followed him into a couple of them. I think only one like charged the cover, but for the most part they weren't too bad. I think I ended up getting a dance at one bar. Um, she was okay. She was just kind of, it was kind of like meh. Like I'm used to like, I guess like more rural s strip clubs. Not that I go to many of them, but the few I'd been to, I had never been to like a real city strip club, and there's so many on Bourbon Street. So, I mean, at this point, we were just popping in half time, looking around, then popping out to others. But I ended up getting a dance from one girl. She was kind of like, whatever. So we went to another one. He's like, this one's a little better because he had already scoped out these places a couple times because he's a freak. But he's cool like that. But we went to this one place where he said was pretty good, and we ended up getting drinks. I think I actually got a screwdriver, so I got a screwdriver. We sat down, and this girl sits between us and just starts and immediately says, "You guys are here for Pokemon, aren't you?" So I'm like, "How do you know?" And she's like, "I've seen you guys all weekend." Now, I thought, I'm like, "Wow, that's a very clear eye," because I wasn't wearing anything Pokemon. My friend wasn't wearing anything Pokemon, and we were dressed pretty normal. Though I do have a Pikachu tattoo, so that might have had something to do with it. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I introduced, myself to her, tell her my name is AJ. And it's drunk when I'm introducing myself as AJ, not Muda. But yeah, so she introduced herself as Hayden. We talked for a bit. Turns out she actually was from Maryland or lived in Maryland for a little while, so she knew that area. But I ended up deciding, okay, you know what? I'll get a lap dance with her. I was pretty drunk, but I guess for her I was a lot more direct, or she was just a lot more giving than the other one. But yeah, so we went upstairs, and here's the part where I'm not actually allowed to talk about, but yeah, so $450 later, I came back downstairs and I left for the night. Esper was still there. He said he was going to chill for a little bit. I actually got back to the Airbnb, and there was a friend of mine, Ryan, who turns out his Airbnb was actually pretty close to ours. And one of my other friends was hanging out there. They were sitting out on the step, and when I came out there, so I ended up hanging out with them for a little bit. We chit chatted outside, and about an hour later, Esper came home from to the Airbnb, and he said he had gotten a dance with the same girl, and he basically just said on his way back in, he's like, "Yeah," he said, "She said AJ was a psycho, but I like those." So yeah, I don't know what else he told her, and he refused to tell me how much he spent. But yeah, no, I got for, I think altogether about 400, 550 or so on the strippers, not counting like the drinks and stuff at the bar and covers and stuff. But yeah, I wasn't really planning on that, but I wanted this trip to be epic, and that made it a little more epic. But yeah, so after that, I end up getting an Uber home. Well, I got an Uber home before that, but right before I got an Uber, a lady came up to me, and this was Sunday. This is actually Father's Day, and she's like, "Are you a father?" I said, "No, ma'am, I'm not." It was an older black lady, and she's like, "Well, I would just want to say you'd make a really nice stepfather." So I'm just like, "All right, well, happy Father's Day to me, I guess." But so yeah, other than that, Monday came Monday morning, and I'd actually pre-packed everything right before I went out that night because I knew I was gonna be too drunk to do it when I got home. So it was pretty easy to pack. Just showered everything, packed up my last stuff. I was pretty much ready to go. But American Airlines flying back as well, the same one I flew in with. They made checking my bag as painful as possible. Sent me in three different. I think I went into like three different lines, but I eventually got it checked in. I eventually got checked. My one friend's flight got delayed, so he ended up getting a rerouted flight, and so but he had to rush through TSA. So we all went through TSA pretty much after we all got our stuff checked, and yeah, after that, my flight got delayed again, but this time I actually didn't mind because we were waiting so long on my one friend, it actually gave me more time to get ready. So I was able to get a little food in me, some coffee, and I basically got on my flight this time, no real problem. I did have to check my carry-on bag again though. But yeah, on the flight home, I actually was surrounded by a bunch of 17, 18-year olds fresh out of high school and headed for Army boot camp. So they had a connecting flight from DC. I think they were headed to South Carolina for boot camp. So the guy beside me was a little nervous, but he also thought it was like the most baller thing ever that I spent $500 on strippers that the night before. So he thought that was the coolest thing ever, and he grew up in New Orleans. So I just told him, I said, it sounds cool, but please, when you turn, when you get in the army and with your boys, don't do it. Like just don't do what they do. Like don't, But they were pretty cool. They were nice. I wish them, good luck on their boot camp and thanked them for their service. And yeah, so once I landed, I got my bag, which took forever in the baggage claim, but I rode the metro back to the station. My girlfriend picked me up, and yeah, we went home from there. So I got home probably about, I want to say about 10:30ish, maybe close to 11, I'd say almost. But all in all, it was a really amazing trip. The most fun trip I've ever had, honestly. Pokemon or otherwise, definitely the most fun trip I've ever had. I hope and pray they're doing New Orleans next year there, because it was just such a good spot. It was very hot and humid, but um, I kind of got over it. It took a couple days, but I got over it. Surprisingly, as pale skinned as I am, I did not get sunburned. So hey, that's a plus. That is a plus. But yeah, so thank you for my long rambling video. Um, if you all enjoyed, please definitely leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at It's Muda TV. That is where I drunk posted the entire weekend, so you'll find all the pictures that I'm going to try to edit in and stuff. But all right, y'all, that's it. Have a good one. Stay safe. See y'all. Love you. Until next time. Peace.